And as a matter of fact, what we did was really the correct step, and was to avoid confrontational talks with almost all of the parties concerned. Just ask for a limited time to solve the problem, and sharing of the resources, if it could be done. For after all, it does not mean to say that if it is our economic or fist fund or private, there's no such thing as you can claim the international waters as your own. The economic zones provided are good, and our consensus and concessions that are part of the respect for each other's interest. China has stood pat on its decision. We need not go to war for that. It's not good to add something which is already a very high tension existing in Asia itself. I wish more talks to come, trade, and if there is one thing that must be immediately solved, is really the problem of the Malacca Strait. Right from the west point coming in from the Indian Ocean, the ships have the choice of going up north around the Philippines between Thailand and the provinces up there, or go down to the Moluccas. The Moluccas used to be historically a supply route and a shipping lane that was very good for everybody. Of late, terrorism has entered the picture, and we see a lot of hijackings and killing of people, and for capturing hostages for ransom. These are the things that I think closest to Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Somehow, I would say that something has a drastic, this drastic action for a very dangerous situation. Otherwise, that part of the sea lane of trade between Australia going up north and Malaysia itself, Indonesia and the Philippines will continue to suffer the degradations of our trade and even the human being itself. I hope to talk with the leaders of these countries, and they're willing to put our resources together with theirs to find a solution. I am a hardliner by nature, and I go for my last card, always. Whenever I try to solve a problem which in my own assessment and evaluation is serious enough, I tend to deal with my last card. That has been my character. And if I get to talk to the leaders, there is one thing I can just offer. Blast them out of the seas to keep our shipping lanes open and safe. They have committed enough piracy there, enough money collected from ransoms, needlessly killing people, decapitating them in front of cameras. I think that has to stop. I just finished the war in Malaysia, and then perhaps I can refocus the entire armed forces to deal with this problem once and for all. Otherwise, we might just as well forget our sovereignty and pretend to be a nation by itself. There's so much worry about individual rights, about people being killed in the process, and even revolutionaries are cautioned, or governments are cautioned to deal with them peacefully, while at the same time they are killing my soldiers and my policemen. These are the things that I would like to address myself now to the Western world. Please do not impose your will on us. Do not derogate our sovereignty by lecturing on us the civilities of a country which we termed a democratic state. It is not maybe to your satisfaction that you do not like what we are doing, but you know, there are things which we have to do because we have to do it. Or not, then you can do it for us. Tell us, if you are ready to deal with the problem, I'd be happy to order my soldiers and my policemen just to relax. And if any Western country is interested to do it the civilized way, then come. I am inviting you to join the fray. And I would be glad to appoint you the lead role in the problem. Otherwise, if you cannot stop interfering, at least be educated in your assessment. For after all countries suffer from social problems. Indeed, there are so many social injustices. Philippines is no exception. Plenty. But we try to correct it along the way with meager resources and certainly not or cannot adapt the way they term it as the principal doctrines to how to deal with a democratic problem in a democratic state. It's a social problem. You do not come here upon the invitation of some NGOs and the opposite political parties and look only on the number of extrajudicial killings, which has not even have an investigation, which is, if it is really one or not. And the style of, in my country today is where somebody that lies dead, it is always an extrajudicial killing. If there is no suspect that can be pointed at, it is extrajudicial killing. All killings, whether perpetrated by a state or by the citizen, ordinary citizen, is always extrajudicial, in the sense that it is not the property of a court to discuss the matter of how a human being should be killed or not. That's not the point. The point is look at the social problem. For example, during the time of, due respect, Ma'am, the drug problem is already there. During the time of President Aquino, it got worse, and it is still there. And when I was the president, it was there. And yet, early on, we're being reprimanded publicly by the highest officials of other lands as if we are a colony. You know, guys, we have the United Nations. If you think you have qualms against me, go to the United Nations, make your representations, state your complaint, and ask the body to investigate us for being a member of that organization. If you begin to impose your values on me and you try to correct things not our way, and it is not really applicable, then we have a problem here. And other people pretending to represent the sentiments of a certain region, a certain organization, which are taken at face value as the truth. Because they only consider how many were killed. But the question is, why were they killed? Why are there victims? So what's the reason for killing them? You know, when you are a policeman and you are called suddenly for assistance, and you see somebody's brother wounded and dying, so you're interested to get the dying declaration. Because a person is about to die, they say, tells the truth. And when they say that, you do not ask what weapon was used, what method, what doctrine of republicanism ideology do you follow. You all just say, who killed you? Never mind about what kind of weapon. You know that when you see a stab wound, a slash, or a single bullet in the head. So when you come here, do not just say that you count the number of allegedly unlawful killing extrajudicial. If you really want to help, find out why they were killed. So if there is shortage of investigation, follow-ups and all, then you help us, then try to correct us if there is really a correction that is needed. That is what I meant. Now they say that I have a bad mouth, a foul mouth. Correct. I do it purposely. I am not the type that will just blurt out epithets, curses, and to use the slang street language. I do it for their sheer ignorance. When you say, Philippines, you do this, otherwise, you might lose your membership in the UN. And to think they're just the NGOs. But we never heard any official disclaimer of their allegations that they represent the feelings of the European Union or the people of Europe. And it becomes a problem. You fall short of... no, you cannot expel a member of the UN by just a single statement. That is an insult to a country. And when you say that you want to expel me, that is a very serious matter and would reach eventually in the Security Council of the UN. It will be there put on the table and they will discuss. And one vote of the permanent member says it is not good, then there is no expulsion. Do you really think that Russia and China would go for it? Expel the Philippines? One vote from either of the permanent members would goes kaput. And that is why I am very thankful for this opportunity. I do not want to lecture on you. I do not deliver speeches as a matter of practice because I am not up to it. But I usually talk to my audience or just discuss what I would like to convey to you. That is my style. I do not go around and say, this time that the Philippines is going to rise from the ashes of poverty, and we will. I have not been trained to do it that way. I'm being just trained to just talk, pour your hearts out, convey your message, and watch your mouth. With you in front of me, I would be the most courteous ever the most condescending president in front of you. But I also appreciate the time that you gave me so that you'll understand that the problem is serious and we're trying to solve it our way. Now, officially, I have pulled out the military, the armed forces, and the police out of the picture. I just gave this thing about drugs to the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Whether they can cope up or not, maybe I can explain it to you on a longer, but we have the time constraint. It's almost dinner time. I know you haven't had even your merienda yet. So I said, may I be allowed just to read my speech? It will take about just 2 minutes. I wish to thank the organizers for this high-level forum on ASEAN at 50 for inviting me on this meaningful gathering. The panel discussion conducted earlier by ASEAN's eminent leaders have shown us in retrospect the evolution of our regional community and our continuing story as a family of nations. Indeed, there are substantial contributions to the development of the respective nations, and the growth of the ASEAN community will steer us towards the realization of a common vision and the identity of our region. The Philippines' chairmanship of ASEAN in 2017 coincides with the 50th anniversary. As a founding member of ASEAN, it is an honor for our country to lead our community as we chart our course towards the future. The ASEAN story is a remarkable account of determination, vision, unity, and cooperation. It was born in 1967 during one of the most turbulent and challenging periods in the region's history. Comprising a mix of diverse languages, cultures, colonial experiences, forms of government, and political systems, ASEAN was seen by some political observers as an experiment bound to fail. Yet, 50 years later, ASEAN has become one of the world's most successful regional communities. ASEAN's crucial role as a fulcrum that balances stability and security in the region is a testament of its success in the past 50 years. ASEAN was successful not just in bringing together a regional community, but also in shaping the relationships among major players in the ASEAN-Pacific region. ASEAN at 50 is not a complete story, nor it is a finished product. It is steadily evolving pursuit towards the realization of our vision of a peaceful, stable, and resilient community with the capability to respond effectively to the challenges within and outside our borders. In January this year, in my home city of Davao, we assumed chairmanship of ASEAN with the declaration that the Philippines will remain steadfast in upholding our shared values and aspirations. Part of this is the promotion of our common interests through mutual cooperation and constructive engagement with dialogue partners. At the 30th ASEAN Summit in April, the leaders of ASEAN reaffirmed the commitment to enhance regional integration, respond to the challenges of climate change and natural disasters, and address transnational crimes such as the proliferation of illegal drugs, trafficking in persons, terrorism, and violent extremism. We continue to address non-traditional security concerns to Asian-led mechanisms such as the ASEAN Regional Forum, the East Asia Summit, the Asian Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, and active engagement with our dialogue partners. The recent developments in the Korean Peninsula have tested ASEAN's resolve to keep the peace and ensure the security of our region. That is why we remain committed in working closely with our international partners in maintaining stability in the Korean Peninsula. On the economic front, we continue to work towards bigger, more open and rules-based market where businesses, especially micro, small, and medium enterprise can thrive. We also launched the first roll-up a short sea route which connects the Davao and General Santos ports in Mindanao to Bitong Port in North Sulawesi. It is clear a manifestation of our commitment to stimulate trade, tourism, and other areas of development among our ASEAN member states. When the leaders of ASEAN and its dialogue partners meet in November on the 31st June ASEAN Summit, we intend to reaffirm our commitment to maintaining regional peace and stability, pursuing maritime security and cooperation, advancing inclusive innovations-led growth, strengthening the region's resiliency, and promoting ASEAN as a global player of a model of regionalism. We would like to see substantial progress in negotiation of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. As the Philippines completes its duty as chair of ASEAN by the end of the year, we remain optimistic that the priorities we have set will not cease as we pass on the chairmanship to our successor. It is our shared hope and our gains will become part of our continuing commitment to ASEAN and the principle for which it stands for. I therefore call on our fellow ASEAN leaders to empower our peoples by making them understand the importance of ASEAN in their lives. Its past gains have directly contributed to the well-being and how the realization of goals will make their lives better. Together, let us cultivate our people's a sense of ownership, for them to own the ASEAN story as their story, and to see ASEAN's future as their own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for your message. At this juncture, may we request the President for a photo opportunity in 3 batches. May we now invite our first batch with former leaders and co-organizers of the high-level forum to please proceed on stage. May we ask the second batch to kindly prepare for your photo-taking opportunity. Thank you. Please proceed to the left side of the stage. Thank you very much for the first batch. First batch, please remain. We'd like to call on the members of the second batch to please go on stage. And now we'd like to call on members of the third batch, composed of RIA contributors and editors. Thank you very much. May we ask our officials to kindly exit to your right. Thank you very much, Mr. President. May we request everyone to please remain inside the hall until the President has left. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's high-level forum, ASEAN at 50. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to thank everyone for joining us in this forum. We hope that everyone here today was able to learn new insights and appreciate even more the significance of ASEAN and its contribution to the region's peace, stability, and prosperity. Good evening, and may you all have a safe journey home. May we request everyone to please remain inside the hall until the President has left. Thank you.